Hello everyone, here we are again. We will be continuing the Bard Hyena project. And yeah, when last we left off, we were doing a basic blockout. This is the result that we have so far. The reference is in the top right. It is made by Ale55 on social media. And we are just going to continue on where we left off. So there is one thing that I do wish to do, and that is a bit of a technical thing in ZBrush. It's where the size of the model can sometimes work against you. People who've used ZBrush might in the past have encountered where your brush is either extremely small or extremely big, and that has to do with the size of your model in ZBrush's world space. Because it looks like everything is fine. If we were to append a sphere, again, the size looks pretty decent. Though if we were to, for example, as a test export, I'll get rid of the sphere. Also, let me know if the volume is too much. Probably lower it a little bit. Okay. So, as I was saying, in ZBrush everything might look fine. You create your entire high poly and then you wish to go to either Maya, Blender, or whatever software package that you use. You can see these menus, but you'll have to trust me. Alright, file exported, then scene transition into Maya. Ta-da! We import it, and then we see that our model is halfway through the floor and the size is probably not correct as well. In my Maya, my scene is set up for 15 centimeters. So this guy is 4 centimeters wide at the shoulder, but let's say that we want to use engine real-time, or rather real-life scales. So let's say that we want to have this character be 180 centimeters tall if we go from toes to tip of the mohawk. What we could do is manually do it inside Maya. We set the pivot back to the world origin. Let's see, that button was X. Yeah. Set the world origin and then we start scaling from here. Though this is going to break our low poly with high poly if we were to go back into ZBrush, and that is not something that we want. This is going to give countless issues when you have a low poly and a high poly that do not line up. You do not want this for a production line model. So rather than try to fix it in this step, let's go back to ZBrush. And then we want to solve it where our model is the quote proper size in ZBrush, where it is ZBrush likes to use 2 units tall, 2 units wide, 2 units depth, so 1 up, 1 down, 1 left, 1 right, 1 forward, 1 backward. And that is like the optimal space in which ZBrush is happy. So what you could do is under deformation hit the unify button, which shrinks an object, and if we were to append the tool now, you will see that the subtool that we just unified now perfectly fits into the sphere. Though we have some other elements that we created before, these are separate subtools. Those those did not get shrunk along. So what you can do is do this one again. What you can do is, I prepared for this because I did not make a lot of subtools yet. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, this is why you do it at the blockout stage. What you can do is merge all the visible, and that will give you a new subtool that has, you can see the name, it's merged Hyena Bard. So it's the exact same size, you don't see the grid change, you don't see the camera shift. It are these subtools merged into one. So if we hit unify now, it did the entire model. So again, sanity check. Yep, there's the sphere. Let me make a quick checkup on some things. Okay, we're all good. So you have your model that is now the proper size. Let's do a quick test. So we export again. I apologize for the Windows sounds. We go back to Maya. So here we have the old model. Yes, we can group that up. So old export. Group in the new one. If we hide the old one, we can see, okay, we have a new model. It is a single item. And if we look at it from the front, if we use the grid, from the world origin, one up, one down. So this character is 2 centimeters. So we're getting closer, but we still have the issue of it is not the right scale, and it's still intersecting the world origin floor, let's say. So there's one more step that we have to do in ZBrush. When we go back to our model, with the gizmo tool, we can move it up until we get to -1. So that's the world, or that is now on the floor. If we were to remove this sphere, for visualization, ZBrush will also adjust the floor to the lowest vertex that is active in your scene. And under export, notice how the scale says 1. So, alright. It looks like I had some polygons masked, so we can just undo, clear the mask, move it up again. I'm holding down shift, by the way, so it actually starts snapping. Otherwise you get like a lot more decimals after the point. Holding down shift, you start snapping, and we want -1. Because again, we know that our model is exactly 1 unit through the floor, and that is not what we want. Hi Ilianos, welcome on in. We are doing a small technical thing in our ZBrush scene prep. Just to make sure that our model is properly scaled and is going to work better inside ZBrush. Right, thank you. It's the blockout, so we're gonna be making it a lot cooler. Alright, picking up my train of thought, so it's on the floor, but let's say we want our character to be 180 units tall. So we know it's currently 2. 2 times 90 equals 180, so if we set this to 90, it will set it to 89.9999. I'm okay with this. And if we were to export it for one last time. So Ilianos, let me know how the volumes are. If it's too loud, if it's too soft, and we'll keep going from there. Okay. Back to Maya. So this is our, where's Ina? This is our 2 units export. We'll hide that one. Last one, so one more import. Which probably didn't work because of naming convention. Export. volume is fine, thank you. Okay, so I went back to ZBrush. I exported it under a different name. Hey Bowie, welcome on in. Let's see. We'll go to import 180. Why is this not working? I tested this before stream and it was working, so yay. Import. Okay, ZBrush, why are you doing this to me? Because we have this. Let's rename it. Hyena Bard, 180 units. See plugin, export. I apologize for Windows sounds. Back to my import 180 units. There we go. And now we have our zebra sculpt that is it's the proper scale, because if we were to go to the front view, disable the grid, do a little cube and tell that cube to be 180 units tall, translate Y to 90, and then you can see from the floor to the top, this subtool is now it's now being exported as 180 units tall, which for a default character that is supposed to get rigged later on. 180 units is something that I've been doing a lot. Also in production, it gives nice values. And if you were to put this in a game engine, then odds are you're going to have a properly skilled character rather than something that's either a miniature or a huge oversized model. Okay, so to those who came in a bit later, we did a little technical fix where ZBrush is now happy because we have a model that is 2 units in its maximum dimensions rather than again, it looks fine, but behind the curtain there's going to be a few issues, mainly because if you were to look at the brush size, if I were to make this as big as possible, we're still only occupying a small area of the character. Whereas if we go to the resize, the properly scaled one, 1000 units actually goes over the entire model. This will make your workflow a lot easier. Oh, I did the thing where I did not do the scene transition, so again, yeah, thank you. Second stream, I will get better at this, I swear. So, yeah, technical thing, we went from a sculpt that looks okay, but the world space is slightly off, to a model that is like this, where it is 2 units in ZBrush. It is getting exported by a factor of 90, so in Maya it will be 180 units and it will be on the world origin. Thank you. Okay. If we were to put in a floor now, just for our own visual reminder, because we will be adjusting proportions a little bit, so we have to make sure that our feet will always be on the ground. So I'm going to put in a plane, very simply call it floor check. And again, holding shift, we will snap it, and then as we can see now, the feet are neatly on the floor. So we have that as a sanity check. And now all we have to do is... Oh, yeah, the waiting to turn out. Let me tell you, I am extremely nervous. Not only are we going to do like a character with bizarrely wild proportions and very angular features, we're also live streaming it. So it's basically constant eyes on me, and the potato face is real, where it's not looking like the character yet and we are sweating. Okay, so last check that we need to do is to make sure that we have our separate subtools back again. So if we go by polygroups, we are going to split. We are going to split the earrings again. We're going to split the hair. Is that everything? Yes. Split hidden, and now we're going to split the eyes. I think, yes, there was one hidden on the inside. So these are the eyes. The one in the middle is a sanity check for myself to make sure that the just pretend you're live interviewing for a job at Gnomon. Oh god, no. Jeez. Right, train of thought. The middle eye is a sanity check. Like the whole ideal, you have one eyeball in between your actual eyeballs to measure the distance. That adds up for humans, roughly. For stylized characters, we may have to adjust the spacing quite a bit, but for now this is here, so split it. We're gonna rename our subtools because we want to keep our scene clean, so this is Hyena Bard body. Because it is the top subtool, it will get renamed. I'm okay with that. We call this eyes. We call this hair. Oh, brother. Hair singular. Ear. Piercings. Floor check, and then from the previous scene, we do want to grab the ear piercing that is still on the world origin. So we just copy, go to the other one, paste. I know that it's still like it's not the proper size. Why is it? World origin, and we start scaling it up a bit. And again, put it above the main character. Just so we have, if in the future we need to change these, we have one on the world origin. Okay. New folder, world origin. World origin elements. Ear piercing world space. Yes. And we can hide this. Okay, so that's the technical thing out of the way. And now we go back to looking at the reference and looking at the sculpt and just try to match it better. So again, I have a pure rough file that has this image in it, which is a clothed down version of the character that I'm using a lot to reference. But for viewing purposes, I will not be overlapping the screen by a quarter of the ref image, so it's a split. It's a split pure ref. Okay, so yeah, this is probably where I get a little bit more quiet again and just look at what works and what doesn't. Am I on the right? Yes, I'm on the correct one. Because if we were to do all of this and then accidentally start working on the wrong subtool again, that would be a waste. Okay, so this character is a lot more angular. We have some round elements, so let's actually try to really punch in those angular elements. Again, because I've made some more buff characters in the past, I tend to make everything very round now, so that's a skill that I have to unlearn. Let's see, what is the thing that bothers me the most right now? Because I look at the proportions and they look to be aligning pretty well. maybe the length of the upper legs can be adjusted a little bit. Right. So I tend to use move topological a lot, and ZBrush has either let's see. So I use keyboard shortcuts. They will up your speed by a lot. So we hit B to bring up the brush menu, and all of these brushes have a combination of 3 letters to quickly switch to it rather than having to search through it every time. I'm going to use the move brush. So we hit M and my pure as is overlapping. So down here we have so we have our regular move brush and our move topological. The main difference is topological will respect topology, so if you have separate chunks like this, it will only move the one thing that is topologically in that zone. If I were to grab the upper leg, it is going to only grab that chunk. So we purposely kept our model split, so the move tool, the move topological brush, is doing all of that very cleanly, but if we want to move bigger chunks of combined elements, we hit B and V, and we go to the regular move brush, and now we can move whatever is in the radius. So looks like they can be pulled up a little bit. You have a call for the student who wants to study animation. Ooh, yeah, tell them to study the foundations first and foremost. It's always the foundations. Oh, okay, music got a little bit louder on this song. Let me adjust. Slightly lower. Okay. Also, one thing that helps a lot is adding colors to the model, so let me go ahead and actually do that. Fun fact, I don't see colors all that well, so I have to rely on using color pickers a lot. So on my off monitor, again, a little scene prep, where I have the model and I will just color pick the model. So if we go to color, we punch in the numbers. '61, 133. Okay. ZBrush is doing some shading on it, but if we were to go to flat color, we can see that it is basically the same. You're gonna tell it to study engineering instead. Oh boy. I mean, what is sound advice with the current state of the industry? So let's not get into that topic. Like color, fill. Okay, so that's the full body. His torso has a little bit different color, so again, color picking. Color 5, 2, 176. Right. Hello, ZBrush? Or is my tablet? Right, my tablet has a small hiccup. Because of course it knows that I'm live streaming rather than doing this by myself. Okay. So we have the color. So this is where we set our brush to RGB only, and we're gonna remove Z add. So at the top here, material mRGB, this is if you were to do different materials on your model. RGB only, material only. And Z add and Z sub is, do you want to add or subtract geometry changes? So if we set it to RGB only and we start painting, we can see that it's only doing RGB. And we want to set our focal shift a bit higher so that when we... Probably not going to be that visible because our model is not that dense enough. But if I were to, for demo purposes, if I were to go to flat color, okay, yeah, on this density it doesn't matter all that much. But if you have a higher focal shift, you will get sharper drop-offs. The opposite, if you have tiny fall off, you're gonna have bigger gradients. Right. I'll just like -50. Let's see. So this character has some stuff over here. Let's see, it's running down his torso. Goes all the way over the rib cage. Then it starts going into his six-pack. And it appears to be running a little bit over the inside of his upper legs. Okay, this is barely visible, but we're gonna run with it. Every little thing that we can do to make this character look a little bit more like itself, what we're gonna use. Inside of the ear. And if I were to hit subdivision, yeah, so if we get rid of the shadows, it becomes a bit more obvious. So dynamic subdivision, this is ZBrush's smooth preview. It doesn't actually commit to anything yet, but it just lets you see what it looks like if you were to, let's see, dynamic subdiv. If we were to subdivide twice. If I set this to 0, it doesn't do it at all. 1, 2. And we can just toggle it on and off as a preview. Because there's quite a few things in ZBrush that rely on you to have no subdivisions. Mainly more technical things that require topology to be changed, such as a mirror feature, or the Z modeler tool is also a thing that likes to not have subdivision levels. So yeah. And the face. The face is very important. Okay. Color again. There's nothing to do, and we'll apply like a little gradient here. Let's see, the gradient, it goes all the way over the mouth, so we'll smack it in a little bit. It might be a brush stroke, but it does look like the brighter patches go over the bottom of the chin, just by a little bit. And this here borders out. Right, and then we have feet having a bit of a gradient. I want to test something with the masking tool. No, that's only gonna do one thing. Okay. Because the feet have quite a gradient in the colors, again, I'm referencing this image and you can see that the feet all the way to the lower leg, have a gradient on it. I just want to see if I can find a neat little trick that can do the gradient. So maybe we can mask this out. So we know it's not going to go beyond the knees. So if I were to with the standard brush and rather than doing a drag mark, or rather a drag stroke. Let's see, give it a color again. We are going to mask this, and rather than it doing a dot stroke, we're going to do drag rectangle and see what happens. Hide the mask so we see the color. And then we start low. Guess we can use this. Because it has a radial fall off, we are getting the effect. Let's see what if we do low focal shift. Let's say that's good enough for now. Cool. Gotta fix the eyes. Again, if you get the face to work, usually the rest falls in place, but so far the face looks nothing like the character yet, so I'll focus on that next. After punching in the last bit of color. So his eyes are not pure yellow, they're a bit of an off, and they have some red tint to them. So yeah, we love it when there's ref sheets that have no shadings in it and you can just color pick. No object. I think the eyebrow has the same color? Slightly less. Oh. It will probably be better if I actually punch in the numbers properly. Do I have my numlock turned off? Oh, yeah. Alright, user error. 207. This goes to the eye. Nope. Oh, I'm a dummy. I forgot to split the eyebrows. Okay, so we have polygroups on them, but it's not all of them. So what you can do is if you have a partial selection, Control Shift X, and that is going to grow your selection. So if you have some faces in the back where it's difficult to get them, you can just use that shortcut to expand your selection. Let's see, Control Shift drag to invert, and then we hit split hidden, and here we have our eyebrows that we can now give their proper color. Right, last thing for the hair, set the same color as the eyebrows. Depending on which pixel you pick. For the moment I'm going to give them the same colors. So there is a little bit of JPEG artifacting, so some pixels are slightly different depending on what they get from their neighboring information. Then we have, what is this, pink? We have a highlight color. We will have to paint that one in manually. Why is my tablet not working? Okay. Just a couple of hiccups. We're fine. Okay. This our color is 63. Go back to dots. How does this work? Because this is one of those shapes that works in 2D, but in 3D you have to figure it out a bit more. So let's put some in here. Put some stuff in here. Yeah, smooth preview. It doesn't look like much. We have a lot of artifacting, but that's okay. Again, this is a block out. There's no reason. There is no reason for us to spend a lot of time and effort into making it look pretty color-wise, because the topology just isn't there yet. But just as a, okay, how does it look? This is giving us a lot more visual information than if we were to look at it like this. And then to complete it, let's do the earrings. So that was the color 7, 4, and some. Oh, that's it. All right. Okay. Checking. Okay. So I want to get the head to look more like it. So what I will be doing is I will split the head so that I can make that one denser and give it more detail, because I want to work on the head for now. Just really get that likeness in. So invert, going to split hidden. So now this is its own subtool. We rename it towards head. We are going to dynamesh it. Oh. Again, because we changed the scale of it, 128 resolution is now basically this. So let's not. We have to up the resolution. Let's do 512. Alright, that's a lot denser. We keep the poly paint. That's nice. For this stage, I'll probably want it to be a bit more, so 1024. Right, it's not doing anything because I have not made any changes yet. If I were to smooth it randomly somewhere and then Control Shift, this is where now it has a lot more topology. Okay. So let's see, let's knock in a few planes. So I'll turn off RGB for smoothing. Also, let me just draw in a little pupil. All of those things help. This guy has small little ovals. I will subdivide them a little bit, just so I have more accurate substance. Substance. No, we're not on the substance step yet, by a long shot. These are too wide. On the ref, again, the ref that I'm zoomed in on. Oh wait, this guy has red eyes. Damn. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, in the other picture he has red eyes. Let me quickly drop that into a software that allows me to actually grab some colors. Color. Nope, that is way too big. There are people that can draw eyeballs like with relative ease in ZBrush. I'm not one of those people. That is way too wide. Like this character has really, really narrow eyes to give him a more menacing look. Close enough for now. If this was in Substance Painter, I would do this with fill layers, so you have a lot more control over the width and length of it. And ZBrush is good old-fashioned hand painting. Right. One thing that I will do is set it to the center, and I will gently, a little bit of an outward rotation. Because this happens with a lot of characters. If you have your eyes stand 100% straight forward, you get the 1,000-yard stare. Humans, like, come on, words. Your eyeballs do not stand forward perfectly straight. You have a very small outward angle. Anywhere between 3 and 5 degrees, if I remember correctly. So a rigger might not A rigger might not like me doing this step, but for the purpose of this sculpt and make it look slightly more like nice to look at, I will hold down shift and give him a little 5-degree outward rotation. Now because I am remembering, or rather I consistently do this at 5 degrees, so if in the future, if this was a production model and a rigger is going to use it afterward or receive it afterwards, and their technical requirement is, hey, I need the eyeballs to look perfectly straightforward for the rig, we will do the outward rotation in like an animation pass later on. That's when I know, okay, I can just rotate my eyeball 5-degree inward again and it'll be perfectly frontward facing again. Okay. Okay, so the painful thing, the most important thing, and the most complex thing, the face. So this is where I want to keep an eye on, okay, what should be there structurally, such as, okay, where's the cheekbone, where's the lower eyelid, where's the nose bridge, all of those things are here, and if you have like, even a small bit of anatomical knowledge, you can figure out a lot of these things. So I'm looking at the ref, wherever I see a line, I imagine that's an what's the word? It's implied that there is a plane shift over there. So all of you are looking at an image that has a mask on it. Again, I'm looking at this one. And if you look at the eyes, you see several lines on it. Those are the ones that I use as reference for the plane changes. So the first thing I want to get is the eyelids. This is going to get a little bit messy, but I should have enough topology to pull this through. Because again, humans have very varying, like, what words do I want to use here? Every eyeball, every eye looks completely different. All of them are unique, but there are definitely certain shapes that are like recognizable. Let's use that word. For more cartoon eyes, this one has, rather than the tear duct being into a point, it is more of the upper eyelid is a horizontal line. Then it has a sheer vertical drop that goes to the tear duct. So that is something that I then need to model in. Also, eyelids are a lot more thicker than a lot of people make them look like in 3D models. Model those things chunky. It will look better later on. Okay, so again, this is a lot more of a flat line. And then over here, this is again more of a pinch, rather than a curve like a more realistic person would have. Small tweak to the eyebrows. Those things are a little Dorito shaped, so let's make them a little bit more Dorito shape with the pinch brush. Oh. I do want to make sure that they don't lose their volume, so then we'll just go back to the move brush. So eyebrows, eyebrows are used for expression, so you do want to keep them into neutral, but do kind of want to add a little bit of expression to it, just so that he's more interesting to look at. Give myself some subdivisions, make sure that they're not too thick. This guy needs a nose. Again, carving in the planes with Damien Sand. Okay, maybe not always carved in with Damien standards. We can use the H-polish to knock those planes back in. And he has a little bit of a dimple, not like a full cat inset. I want to give him some eye bags. Other, again, just not eye bags as in this character hasn't slept in a while, but eye bags in the sense of like he's a thin character, cheekbones sticking out more than like there's fat in his eyelids. So you get a little bit of a plane shift. So I do want to capture that. A little bit of a mouth overhang. A little neutral friendly demeanor. Later on when he's angry and we make a few expressions for him, that's when we'll get into the more exaggerated shapes. The cheek fluff next. And again, elements that I want to work off, I'll split them off the main model. Split hidden. I'll work on ears a little bit. Ears. Later on I can always merge them, but for now I would like to have control over every individual aspect so I can give them proper or more workable dynamics. Resolutions. A little bit more, 600 maybe. Sure. Good. Flatten a little bit. A little bit of curvature. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about the earrings that we've already put in. I'm gonna get those shapes in. Speed to be lower. Then it connects roughly above the eye. As to how deep I'm going to be making them, I'm not quite sure yet. There is some ear fluff on the inside that I need to keep in mind. Let's see, I have to check one little thingy. Okay, cool. That's still working. Okay, we have some color info. The back of his ear have like, the tips are darker, so again, putting a little color information on it. Standard tool, color only. Some cool markings on the back. And depending on if it's drawn with or without the mask, the cheek fluff is going to be different. So this is where the 3D artist has to make decisions as to what is going to work in 3D rather than maybe be entirely loyal to the 2D concept. Because if I would look at all of this, if I would look at all of the facial expressions and the different angles drawn of this character, the cheek fluff is always slightly different, where it looks good in that angle. As a 3D artist, you have to find a shape that works in all angles, so that's fun. Um, yeah, I definitely want it to be smaller tufts rather than just 3 big ones. So I am going to grab the wheel and start moving them around a little bit. I'm also going to give them more resolution so they... Oh, wait. We've got split. Split it. Ah. Okay, we did the thing where we split the body, and that's not what I want, because if you split it like this, you lose all of the history on it, and I do not want that, so this one's gonna go away. We go to the original. Again, 1, 2, 3. We're going to split it. Cheek fluff. And give it bigger resolution. Oh. Alright, keep groups, because again, if we were to not do that, Dynamesh, you see that it gets merged together. This is not what we want. So on my custom menu at the bottom, and so that stream can see, I did put a few buttons that I use a lot. One of them is multi-group Dynamesh, so if you have that enabled, if you were to look at the regular Dynamesh menu, Dynamesh, it's right over here. If you have that enabled, it will respect your polygroups and not merge them. So this is quite nice if you're working with fur tufts, where you want to keep them separate for the moment. You can merge them at the end when you're ready for baking, or keep them split, like all the way to the end. It's your choice. Just don't accidentally fuse them together, because splitting them is a headache. I'm not speaking from experience, I swear. Again, checking the fluff from all angles, just to make sure that they actually feel fluffy and on the cheek, rather than just something jutting out of a jawline. And kind of thinking of how these fur tufts are going to work when we're going to put a mask on it, or the mask. So if we look at the concept, it looks like the mask is done with two straps on both sides. So if we were to hypothetically have the mask here, so that covers the entire thing. Okay, cool. We can have a strap go like this, so it goes in between these two fur tufts, and then one down here. So then this one, let's go up a bit, so that over here this strap can smoothly go underneath. So a little bit of clipping. Again, we're gonna keep the fur tuft split, so we can always adjust it. Some fur tufts that they're still in front of the ear. So, let's see. Gizmo, control. If we hold control, we pull out a duplicate, and then we can easily rotate it into place. Let's see, we want, let's go with 3. 3 is a nice number. Okay. They have all of the same ones, so we hit auto groups and mirror and weld, and that's how we fix symmetry. Okay. Something that I sometimes also like to use is AccuCurve. This is where you get more of a sharper pinch fall off. Really nice if you want to get the more spiky look. Okay, now we're going to put some tufts in the ears. So I feel like the muzzle is too long. We'll fix that. We tap a few times so that we soften the mask. And then we can shorten it a bit. Maybe a bit shorter still. Maybe it's the upper, not upper side. It needs to be shaped a bit better. Yeah, that's better. So I'm gonna get a glass of water. Everyone posture check as well. I'll be right back. Alright. Cool. Because we've been going at it a little over an hour, it's important to stretch, walk. Like, if you sit behind a computer 8 hours a day, complications will happen. Do your stretches. Okay. I also feel like the jawline can be more round and friendly. Hair for a split second. Just want to see what looks. Oh, characters looking so different when they're bald. Just get those planes in again. Alright. I'm gonna say that the head looks better. I'll see if I agree with myself in an hour from now. We can just go down the body. Oh, wait. A little bit of a jaw. I like to punch in the jawline later on for topology. So I know, okay, this is the border of it, this is where it Like this is where the topology strip should go. Oh, before we move down, more fluff in the ears. So what we can do is duplicate this. Or, no, not rename. Duplicate. We call this ear fluff. And we are only going to be taking the ones up top. And delete the others. And with Gizmo, place them up. As an initial blockout, so again, different angles, different amount of fluff, but it does look like many of them have 3 tufts. So we'll go with that. And have it be like big chunky chunks. And they have the same color as the inside of it, so color upgrade. There. One thing that I can do, this is something that I should probably do more, is adjust the material slightly. So light is extremely important to check shapes. What you can do on your material is go to your modifiers. Let me dock it on the left hand side. So these are all of the options ZBrush offers to let you manipulate the material. Something that I like to do is here, currently set to a Phong blend. Like currently it's set more to Phong. If you set it more to a blend, you tend to get a lot more, what's the word? There are no sharp pinches on the highlights right now. What you can do is set this one to, not 2, 0.2. And then adjust this curve a little bit. So I'm not quite sure how to explain this one, but this one, I prefer to have lights like this. They look a little bit sharper, but there's no bright highlight on it. And again, you can set this as narrow or as pinched if you want, or if you prefer more, give it a bigger fall off. I prefer to have it something like this. So that when you start checking edges, you have, yes, you have a sharp light guiding you, but there is no burnt highlight in it. I should probably make that into a material prefab at some point. Next, if we're just going to go down the body. So next we have the neck muscles. It's still split, so I can isolate it if I want to. We're gonna have to carve in a little bit more. Currently, this neck looks way too heroic for a more scrungly character like this. Like we almost have the Superman V neckline going on. That's not something that we want. This is a scrungle. I will give myself a little bit more resolution to work with. So we go from, up here 42k. Let's go. Nope, not 5,000. Deep groups, 200. 7. Nope. 400. Alright, so we go to 109,000. Just a bit more so we can like start sculpting push some shapes a little bit further. I guess I can merge these elements for now. So I'll give them the same polygroup. Tell my, not Maya, tell ZBrush to dynamesh again, and now it's a fused object. So we're committing bit by bit. Standard, punch in those clavicles. I'm gonna leave the shoulders alone for now because those have a shape that I really need to figure out before committing to it. Okay, and even though there's gonna be a shirt on top of this, the shapes need to be correct, otherwise it's never gonna work out. So it's important to have your underlying mesh to be correct. Probably want to have this be a bit more curved. I just have to make sure that I don't puff these pecs up too much. Because this guy has a very, very... yes, it's muscle, but this guy has not been working out. This guy is almost, how do you say it, like skin over bone? So, alright. There is still a sternum underneath here, so it can be convex. We have muscle striation. I'll carve those in just to give the implication. I'm using the H polish brush to flatten it a lot. Just following the flow of the muscle. next? A little bit more. Little diamond landmark. That's the bottom of the sternum. If I recall correctly. I'm gonna merge these two. So there is a rib cage edge underneath there that is causing a ridge to poke out a little bit. So with the standard brush, push it out a little bit. Make sure that the focal shift is not too big, or rather, make sure that the focal shift is set to neutral, so we have a more gradual fall off. And now we have to work with this. So this is too much. I need to get out of the habit of trying to smooth everything, so I'm going to use clay buildup to produce it again. Because whenever you smooth something, you destroy detail. Good. So we have Serratus, which sits here. Let's see how many are visible in the ref. The way that they're drawn, I'm not that happy with them. It is a stylization choice. I will try to respect it, but I also want to make some changes to it where it's more like, okay, this is slightly more accurate. So looking at it now, this guy really has a pinch. Okay, this is also mostly due to the pose, but there definitely is a pinch in here that we need to get. This is the area that I'm not that familiar with yet. I know what's underneath it, I know what serratus is, I know how they sit on top of the ribs, but how they properly connect, I can't reliably replicate it yet. So we keep practicing. I think something like this looks nice. Okay. How are we doing for music? Should still be good. Right. And this guy has pretty well defined abs, and they have quite a, what do you call that? Some people draw abs like they're just straight lines. That is not how they work. This artist has chosen to really give them a curve, so we're gonna respect that and try to get that in our sculpt as well. Because again, this thing is heavily stylized. And that's what makes it cool. If we were to start like making those type of changes, like those are the elements that make the character really cool. Can't have the belly button disappear. Also have to make sure that this isn't gonna get muddy. Also, I should probably save. Because otherwise we're gonna lose well over an hour's worth of work. Alright, saved. Oh, don't drop your pen, those things are expensive. Okay, let's see. Where to next? Either the legs or the arms. Both are tricky. Alright, let's tackle the arms, because those shoulders are something that I need to solve. Oh. Is my microphone still working? Yeah, there we go. Just had a small delay. Cool. Okay. So again, looking at this image, the way that they connect to the main torso, they still, okay, they're very stylized, but they still adhere to the rules of how is a deltoid actually attached to the bones underneath it. So you have the ridge of the scapula, you have the clavicle in the front, and they still connect like that. It's just that the upper outer edge at the top has been stylized extremely. And then they flow into the pinch where they go into the upper arm. So knowing the foundations helps a lot with figuring it out. So from that is how we're going to tackle this. We are going to, yeah, we're gonna be brave, and we're gonna merge it. Okay. Okay. So again, very spiky. Really wanna. This is where we use the AQ curve to get those like points in. Or if we pull it, it becomes a point. If you don't have AQ curve, you get this soft mushy point AQ curve. It's a lot pointier. AQ curve is amazing for very sharp, clean shapes, and this guy is full of them. So I do have to make sure that I don't end up making his shoulders wider. Because again, this thing is cheating. It works in 2D. We need to make it work in 3D. Do want to give it like a little bit of a slope. This is most likely going to be the biggest thing that is going to require multiple iterations. Try to tackle it with H-polish as best we can. Let me check one thing real quick. Okay. Mix this in a little bit stronger. Alright, so Sternocleidomastoid does have like a secondary incision, like little thingy that it holds on with. This is probably way too thick, so we're gonna carve that in. And this artist did the thing where your pectoral muscle, it is made out of, I believe what they call it, like the upper part and the lower part, and the upper part, like it has a bit of a twist. And in this concept art, I see that they really put emphasis on it. So I'll put some emphasis on it as well. So, okay, trying to figure out the volumes here. Gotta get rid of the floor for a second. And just only focusing on the torso. Looking at it from a new angle. Alright, this one looks too forward. Volume of the rib cages here. And we know that the clavicle is shaped like a bicycle a bicycle steering handle. We want to see if we can get that shape to work. And then have the shoulder latch onto that a bit more. I can already tell that retopologizing this thing is gonna be tricky because a lot of the flows that I'm used to and the methods that I've created over the years are not gonna work on this guy. It is way too angular, and that is exactly why I chose this character. This guy has so many new questions that I need to figure out in order to get better. Right, also, sanity check. Let's go here. Rather, it's make sure that everything is lining up. Very descriptive. Good job. So, where does that latissimus dorsi should connect deeper into the armpit, so that there is like an actual cavity here. I need to punch that in. Because again, this character is real thin. Also posture check, both IRL and of this character. So how do we want to do this? Do we want this to be a sharper edge? Maybe have this tilt a bit more. This is where the uncertainties kick in of my knowledge isn't... I'm not experienced enough yet where I can look at it and go like, ah, yeah, alright, this is it. Because if we were to... This is a trick that a lot of like 2D renditions have. It's where you put in the two boxes. I hope that the microphone is not picking that up. So it's where you have the two boxes. So again, your spine has a natural curve to it. You have the rib cage, you have the pelvis, and then in between that's where it gets connected. So I think this looks okay. Maybe push this down a little bit. This up a bit. But we have the pinch here, so I'm happy with that. I'll leave the boxes in for now. So let's call them posture check boxes. And hide them for now. Turn perspective back on. So his torso is beginning to feel bigger than his legs are long, which is problematic. Alright, but we'll continue working on the arms for now. Okay. So because they're still split, I should be able to move them quite easily. And again, I think that these are already too muscular. So we're just gonna smooth them out a little bit, just so we get the volumes lower. We do need to keep the angles in. A little bit of H polish. Be gone, bot. I'll look into setting more banned keywords later on. It should have caught that one. Let me double check one thing. I thought I set my keywords up in such a way where if anyone's like hitting keywords such as buy viewers, it will automatically get blocked, but apparently it's not. Yeah, I'll fix that later. is where it gets tricky because we have multiple muscles sitting on top of each other and mixing in. When did I smooth that? Okay, yeah, that's a big one. How did that happen? Glad I caught that one now. Right, it's when I smoothed the upper arms. Ooh, wow, that. Yes, I will. I would like to undo the last 41 steps because I blew a whole lot of progress out. Alright, let's not do that. Again, this is why we save, and I'll save in 10 minutes. Trying to get the angularity back in there. I like to use H polish to sometimes hold down Alt and that will, rather than push things in, it will pull things outward again. Holding down Alt will just, it's an inverse action, but you can get some really nice clean planes in there. Just pushing outward and inward while repeating over the same line. Maybe not that hard. Gotta get a good balance between, so we'll hit flatten. Very slight smooth. So if we look at the highlight, there is still like a little bit of an edge there being implied. I guess that's gonna be good enough for now. Apparently I got a Twitch achievement like clockwork. Stream for 2 unique days in the last 30 days. Hey, nice. As we are making a tiny push towards affiliate. Alright, the back of the character that we've been ignoring for the last 2 hours. Yeah, okay, we should commit to that a little bit. Congratulations, chat, this is my weakness. Let me go to the hair, hide that for a bit. Okay, cool. This has to happen at some point, you have to face it. Let us look at the back and actually start solving things. So on the back of the skull, you have an indentation to which the, what's it called, trapezius is connected. This guy has a very thick neck that we have to solve. Wow. yeah, no, looking from side profile, this is way too thick. This is the kind of mastoid, and that needs to connect differently. Other lower. On a human, it connects behind the ear. On this guy, I guess it connects here. This needs to not move in. This really needs to read as a scrungle neck. Alright. Though there's still, as much as this character is a scrungle, there should still be room in there for a brain. So back of the cranium should be, it should not be deformed. So let's give it some volume. That's a weird angle.
Small businesses, telephone communication is still a kind of groping in the dark.
Hello? Hello? Who's this?
But now you can overcome all that with the Merlin system from AT&T. It's incredibly easy to use. So if your business isn't running as smoothly as you'd like, say hello to the Merlin system and put an end to it.
Connect this here.
The right choice.
Alright, let me grab my ref. So we do have some bony landmarks. Basically everyone can feel this. If you were to touch the back of your neck and lower it down to your shoulders, at some point you will feel quite a bump. I forgot the name of it, but I think it's the C7. It's your lower neck vertebra. That is quite a hefty bony landmark. So we're gonna put it in here as well. So there's a bit of a diamond shape. The lump should be. And we have muscle striation going out towards the shoulders. Is that too high? Probably. Too high and too deep. Because again, the bony landmarks that's underneath here. I just don't know them well enough yet. So this is where I have to rely on a lot of reference in order for things to work.
Now you can overcome all that with the Merlin system from AT&T. It's incredibly easy to use.
Okay, looking at the reference, we have the back of the deltoid. This is coming in more at an angle. This has a pinch here. Again, I'm looking at this image, and the back of the shoulder, there are some heavy plane changes in there, so I'm trying to knock those in. Although it does look like they are going into a pinch here, so that's nice. We have the bony landmark of the bony landmark of the shoulder clavicle? No, shoulder scapula ridge. We're throwing all of the terms at the wall now, we'll see what sticks. Here we have this shape that is neatly following along to the back. Yeah, again, my biggest issue is the depth of the back. There is a rib cage in there that is giving everything volume. So that absolutely has to exist. Then from this angle, okay, sure, this looks like we put landmarks where we think they should go. But if you look at it from a different angle, you start seeing all of these lumps and bumps and nothing adds up anymore, and that's when it falls apart. So that takes a while to fix. But we have the time, and we have to fix it. It's a 3D model. This needs to look good from all angles. I think I'll generally use the move brush the most, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of sculpted detail interfering with the shape, and that's only going to confuse us more. I like how I say that and then immediately start sculpting again. Great consistency. Again, oh, I touched the hand, so now the pivot's there. Try looking at it from all different weird angles so your eye doesn't get... Your eye wants to see patterns. It's like, oh yeah, this looks good. But if it's an isolated weird shape, it can't do that, and it has to resort to different methods. that's when you actually start to observe things for what they are, rather than what you think they should look like. If that sentence made sense to anyone. I'll have to find better reference for this later on, so we're gonna move on. Let's see, the triceps. These things have a very sharp pattern in the other ref, so see if I can punch that in. And here we have the tendon. I'm gonna set the embed a little bit lower. I'm gonna set the alpha to modify. I'm gonna blur it so we don't have these hard lines, and with that I'm going to attach it like so. Basically what the embed feature does is it's in your brush menu, it's in depth, and this is basically how, from the surface, how high up is your tip going to be of your brush. 10 is the default for clay tubes, which lets you build up quite quickly because you're 10 units off the surface, so it really starts adding to it. If you set it to an embed of 5 or even an embed of 0, that's when you get a lot more towards a polishing brush. So if I would set this to 0, it's basically on the surface, and this is where you can really dictate of, okay, I want this to be smoother. You can go into crevices a lot more easily and not accidentally start nudging polygy disc around it. So it's setting it more accurate. Is this the shape you want? Because nah, that's too much. What's next that I want to do? Elbows. Oh boy. Again, I should have prepped more ref for this, but we're gonna fly with what we have. That does not look good yet. Okay. So lower arm. There's some muscles that connect to the elbow and a little bit of the upper arm. Tofu mentioned the name of this muscle last time. It has completely left my brain again. But this is the muscle that connects over here. It's basically the one that connects to the upper arm. And then it connects here to the lower arm near the thumb. It is the one that causes quite a bit of silhouette, so we have to make sure that it's in there. So there are some bony landmarks down here because you can feel it. You have I'm blanking on the names of the bones, but if you were to touch your elbow, odds are you're gonna feel two lumps. One of them is directly in the middle, the other one's near the lower end. It's over here. What's going on here? Oh. Don't do that. Oh, I think that was the music. Let me reboot it real quick. Oh, no, we still have a few more minutes. Oh, there it is. This song has a very soft build-up. There it is. I should probably merge these. So I'll merge the arms, but I'll keep them split from the torso for now, because we have to work on a few transitions. So I scroll down my ref board on the other screen. There is a muscle that sits in between these two. this muscle sneaks in underneath the tricep. Oh, hey Ritter, good morning, welcome on in. Oh. Hello Labcode, welcome on in. Ah, that's a Ziffer emote. Alright, how are you two doing? Looking at the time, is this where the Americans begin to slowly wake up? Probably, 7-hour difference. Alright, sorry, focus. We've been going at it for a little over 2 hours, so my eyes are getting a little bit blind to the project. So let's hope we can fix the arms. Alright, good. Thank you very much for lurking. That is what gets channels off the ground, and I'm happy that you're doing well. Or doing alright. Why? Why do they pull an all-nighter? All-nighters aren't good. Hi Galen, welcome on in. Why did you pull an all-nighter? What did you do? You were okay. Sending out applications. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's enough to stress someone out, and then hi, congratulations, your brain doesn't want to get to sleep. It wants to get resumes out the door. Yeah, good luck with the job hunt. It's rough out there right now. Ugh. Okay, yeah, just take it easy for the rest of the day, and indeed stay awake until sundown. Ah, Infinite, don't drink too much, please. Alright, go make coffee, you two. Okay, onto the legs. Okay, I need to be a little bit careful, otherwise Twitch might get upset at me, because like, again, there's nothing here, but I have to work on this area for a little bit. So what do we have here? We have our obliques that are sitting on top. And then we have, what was it called again? The wow, okay, yeah, this is how you know I'm getting a little bit tired. Iliac crest. The front of your pelvis bone where your upper leg muscles connect to a lot. It is an important bony landmark, especially on the skinny character. I'm gonna say that it's acute curve here. odds. Oh, apologies if... that was, I believe, a fire truck screaming by the street, so apologies if the microphone picked that up. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Let's see. Yeah, that's all still in order. Cool. Alright. So, side legs. Again, not that well versed in all. I know which muscles are in there. Creating them in 3D is taking it takes me a while to get them to look proper. So please bear with me. And especially since we're doing this in a very stylized way. I should probably be working a lot more with masking. That really allows you to notch polygons without being too concerned about what's going to happen to a neighboring area. Yes, that is the Leopard Mercenary, based on the works of Kuta Nagamori. That was 2 projects ago. I'm not quite sure if the character has an official name. I tried to contact Kuta about the project, though unfortunately that never worked out. But yeah, it is definitely their character, the one above me right now. Uh, Again, one of those, I saw the concept, I was like, okay, cool, I wish to make that into a 3D model, and then spend many months doing it. It's the exact same thing as what we're doing with this character. Where, again, it says in the top right, Hyena Bard concept made by Il55 on social media. I did not draw that. It is a wonderful design, and I would like to see if I can make it into 3D. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. This is purely a portfolio project. Uh, there is no intention afterwards of like trying to gain any financial gains out of it. This is just practice and hopefully get a nice portfolio project out of it that will help me get a job in the future. Uh, Kuta did like the project on Blue Sky, so they have seen it, and that makes me very happy. So yeah, again, I guess in the future it is the dream to like design a few of my own characters and then turn those into 3D models. Though with the current currently I just focus on turning other people's works into 3D. We have this muscle here that keeps everything nice and snuggly. Okay. So I'm using the clay brush right now with a very low embed value to make some very gentle adjustments. See if we can get. Because again, this is not a muscular character. Okay, they're lean, but in the concept, there's only the slightest hint of. Hi, here's a plane change because I put a little line here. Then I also want to keep the flow of where you kind of want to keep some flow in it where it goes slightly inwards. Oh wait, I'm still working with an IQ curve that explains a thing or two. And go over it diagonally to blend it all together a little bit. Kneecaps. I'm gonna stylize, they're basically diamonds. Push this in slightly. Okay, that's probably too much. Alright, welcome back, Ritter. Hopefully it's good coffee. Good. I haven't had coffee in a while. I am all out of. Okay, I'm sorry for saying this, but I have a coffee maker that uses those single-use capsules. I ran out of them like weeks ago, and I haven't had coffee since. But what I do have is water. Let me quickly get a hydrate and stretch in there. Alright, get a mocha pot. Well, this might be a. It's called a mocha pot over there in the United States. What's a mocha pot? Also merging the legs. Mocha con, Germany. Okay, I live in the Netherlands, so it's very close to Germany. Though I'm gonna have to Google this one. Oh, one of those things. Okay. So you just brew a pot, and in there it's like it's gonna stay hot for a very long time. Is that the gist of it? So I'm gonna undo the merging because I need to get those knee shapes better. You microwave it? They're basically espresso shots. That will probably get my heart to burst out of my chest. Again, coffee works extremely strong on me, so it's probably a good thing that I haven't had coffee in weeks. Alright, we are just nitpicking on the knees now. We're moving forward. Lower legs. I am not a coffee connoisseur, so if I get a cup of black coffee, I'm happy. Or if I'm if I'm somewhere else, I'll get a cappuccino if it's in the morning. Okay, let me focus on the model a little bit. So there's definitely a few shapes that we have wrong, or rather, could be better. Mainly the volume of the calves. Mocha has high pressure filter coffee. I have a feeling that you would have a great conversation with Proto. Proto Wolf is another streamer, and Proto's really into coffee. You know what? I'm gonna do a shout out for Proto Wolf. Shout out at Proto. I hope this is gonna work. That does not work. Alright, great. My shout out command is not working. I'll have to look into that after stream is over, because I'm not gonna be solving stuff on stream. Show must go on, as they say. Alright, so again, referencing this image, and it looks like the shape of the calves look completely different, so I have to make them a lot more angular. Alright, Ritter, calm it down a little bit, please. Let's see. God, I feel my brain getting slower. Let's try to make the most of it for now. Alright, upper legs. Just going to simplify this shape. It's the back of the leg. I don't imagine this character being athletic enough where you actually see the muscles in the back of the leg. marks in there. Because that is all tendon that's going down there. Interesting how they drew a V over there. I would imagine it's the opposite side. More of a... Again, for next stream I'll definitely find more reference so I can make more confident decisions. Because I'm starting to notice that I'm doing a lot of back and forth sculpting now. It's starting to hit that stage, which is not good. Also, we're closing in on 5 o'clock, so technically that's a work day. I'll also definitely have to open this one up to a feedback round with a few friends. Or a couple of art servers and just ask them for their opinion. Let's see, 2 hours and 45 minutes. What is something that we can add that's going to help the character? Oh, that one didn't have 2 nails and nails either. Let's add the nails or the claws a little bit. Just so it helps like bring the character forward a little bit. Again, we still have the apple hands or the oven mitts, however you want to call them. I don't care that they're not split yet. This is all about finding proportions, and I will push that off until next stream. Let's see, we go to extract. We hit accept. We have a couple of funky tubes that we're now gonna push and pull into nil. Oh, and also rename clause and I should split them up afterwards. Let's see, let's give them a quick color. Oh, wrong button. Again, on a different monitor, I'm doing some color picking. Is this the same color as the hair? Looks like it. Color fill object. And since these need to be sharp, we'll use AccuCurve to pull them out a little bit. And then we'll shape them back in. Without AccuCurve this time. Tiny polish. Sometimes I use the polish feature to just smooth things out ever so slightly. These are absolutely too big right now. That's fine, we'll block it out. Alright, let me just split them off so we have claws on the hands and claws on the feet. Just so that when I hit F, that I'll actually focus in on one rather than the camera trying to fight between two elements that are quite far away from each other. So, claws, hands, claws. So I'm just isolating each and every one of them. Again, auto groups mirror and weld is so I can now individually manipulate them without accidentally touching a neighboring element. and we somewhat put him into shape. They're a little bit too big, so we'll just make them a bit smaller. Maybe the paws themselves can also be a bit bigger. Okay. Let's do a quick comparison. If I were to put my model here, to angle it a little bit so I don't overlap it with the reference. Okay, so how we started and where we ended. I do believe that that is a nice upgrade. We have a lot more muscle definition. Everything definitely looks a lot more plainer. The head looks a lot nicer. Yeah, I'm feeling proud of this one. So 3 hours of progress. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream here. So for the people that are in here, both talking and lurking, thank you very much for being here. It let me tell you, it's nervous hitting that go live button, but then having a few people sit in here and have a quick chat is a lot of fun. So thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to find a raid target. If you want... thank you. Hang on, I don't have a command for this yet, so I'll have to do a manual link. I have social media. If you'd like to see more of my art or previous projects, this is where you can find me. I have a Blue Sky account, Kenyon Art. And then let's see, I hope that the raid command works, because I'd like to go say hi to Cherry Wake. They are a really nice artist that does really, really good 2D paintings. Let's see, how does this work, /raid. I hope. Alright. We are raiding, so thank you very much for hanging out, and I'll see all of you next time. Bye bye. Oh wait. It does the thing where it has like a quick where it has a quick time countdown. Yeah, alright, a proper outro. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to see Cherry Wake. It is intended for mature audiences. They're working on a lovely piece right now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see most of you next time again. I will try to stream a lot more regularly. It's just that last week I had some stuff going on that demanded my time as a priority. I will try to stream more in the future and make this into a more regular thing. So, thank you very much. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.